We shortchange the love of God with our sinful and our worldly doctrine. We corrupt our soul. The soul of a community today, it suffers because our bonds are growing weak and we don't care. We need to be there for each other today. We start coming up with all sorts of excuses. And as my dad was saying, an excuse ain't nothing but a dressed up lie. And a lie don't care who gonna tell it. That's what he would say. You see, today we talk about we are too busy to be there for each other. Or we make the excuse that we live too far away to show up for one another. My dad, he pastored at a church that was over an hour away. And he didn't miss no Sundays. And we was there with him. 99.9% of the time, we was there with him. I don't want to hear that excuse. When your family is in need, be there. Stop with the excuses. When your friend is in need, be there. A community needs for you to stand with them today. We need to be standing together today. We need to cut out the excuses. We're slow to support each other today. We're quick to go run off and support somebody else. But we won't support our family when they have a business. We won't support our friends when they have a business. But we'll go and support, as my dad would say, Joe Blow. And Joe Blow don't know the first thing about us, but we there. We today are quick to tear each other down rather than to lift each other up. We will make fun of each other for simply trying to do something. We'll say, they ain't gonna do nothing. They ain't gonna make it. What good does that do? Somebody not gonna like this sermon today, but again, that's fine. I'm used to standing alone when it comes to me standing at this pulpit preaching. I'm fine with that. But what I'm not fine with is the fact that we act more like strangers today. We act more like enemies today rather than allies. And that bothers me, which is why I say to you today that we need to re-strengthen our bonds. We need to grow together, because the only one that is prospering today with us standing apart from each other is the wicked and the evil. That wolf is prospering today. And what makes it even more concerning is that the wicked and the evil, they seem awfully united today. They seem to be on one accord today, a whole lot better than what we are today. But again, God has promised that victory does not belong to them. Victory belongs to all of us who are of sincere faith, all of us who actually move in that faith, loving not just ourselves, but loving those that are around us. Victory is to us if we stand together and if we unite together in fellowship and in sharing. So how do we go about doing that? How do we re-strengthen our bonds today? Well, if we turn back over to the 10th chapter of the Epistle to the Hebrews, we'll see what Paul told his community that they needed to start doing. And if it was good enough for Paul's community to start doing this, I'm telling you today that it's good enough for our community. It's good enough for us to be doing this today. We'll see there in the 24th verse that the very first thing that Paul said there in the 24th verse to his community, he said, let us consider one another, is what Paul said there. Paul told his community that they first needed to consider each other. They needed to get out of their selfish mindset. They needed to get back to the basic fundamentals of faith. of loving each other. Guess what? Again, if it's good enough for Paul to say that to his community, I'm saying that to my family. I'm saying that to my friends. I'm saying that to my acquaintances, the strangers that surround me, my community. We need to stop thinking inwardly and we need to start thinking outwardly, because that's what love, that's what it actually does. It doesn't just think about itself. It's not self-seeking. That's what Paul said in the 13th chapter of 1 Corinthians. Paul, he then said there again, looking at that 24th verse, Paul, he said there, let us consider one another in order to stir up what? To stir up what? Love. He didn't say hate, did he? He said love, right? No. And then he said what else there? And to stir up what else? Paul, he told his community there that they needed to come together. They need to start thinking about each other so that they could stir up love and good works in each other. Again, if it's good enough for Paul to say there to his community, I'm going to say it to my family. I'm going to say it to my friends. Again, I'm going to say it to the acquaintances and the strangers. And I'm going to say it to us. I'm going to say it to our community. We need to stop thinking about just ourselves today, so that we can start stirring up love in each other, so that we can start stirring up good works in each other. You see, we need to start supporting each other more and more each and every day. As often as we can, we need to start encouraging each other, uplifting each other. Because if we don't support each other, who will? If we don't stand together, if we don't stand with each other, who gonna stand with us? We have already seen it. We know that we are on the island by ourselves. Somebody's not gonna like it. But I have to say this to my community today. I have to say this to my family today, my friends, because I love you and I care about you. And I want to see us succeed in this moment in time, in this crisis, in this moment of urgency that we're living in today. Then there in the 25th verse, look at what he told his community there. I think many of us, we need to hear this one today. Yes, it was to the church, but it's also to the community. And I say to you, yes, this is to the church, but it's also to family. It's to friends and acquaintances, strangers, community as well. Where Paul said, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together. We see that? Paul said, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as is the manner of some. Some wouldn't get together. Paul was saying to his community, we need to get together. We need to come together. We need to see each other. And again, if it was good enough for Paul to say to his community, guess what? I want to say it to my family. We need to start seeing each other. I'm going to say it to my friends. We need to start seeing each other in person. Acquaintances, strangers, and a community. We need to start fellowshipping together in person. Let's say something to you today. Some of us, we say, well, I see them on Facebook. I see them on Instagram. I see them on my social media. Social media isn't always good enough. Social media isn't always enough. In person, it hits differently. Someone say, well, I keep in contact with everybody. I'm always texting them, but a voice hits different. Texting isn't always enough. And I have to get on myself with this one. Sitting behind the computer ain't enough. We got enough keyboard warriors that's out there spreading conspiracies and lies. In person, it hits different. Even with church today. Some say, I watch online. Guess what? We got the stats. We got the numbers. We know if you're watching online or not. Watching a little 1 minute clip,